All right, and good morning. Welcome back. It's February the 3rd. The groundhog has been out. And in terms of our February 2nd Groundhog Day, which I know across the Canadian-US border is always celebrated. We're back together for our monthly community call, Michelle. And how are you doing?
I am good. I really like starting my day on the community call with you and all our listeners. It's such a gift.
It is such a gift, and it's such a consistent part. We're coming up on our second anniversary of the community calls. Michelle and I were just talking about this the other day. So while the podcast launched in fall of 2019, we did not start these community calls until literally March 2020, when the pandemic was literally at our shores. So I'm excited. Next month we'll be celebrating 2 years. I think, really, we have done these twice a month as well as monthly, but there's a lot of community calls that you can tap into. And this month, we're going to get started by inviting you. I'm going to just see if I can find my dice set. I might need to step away for a minute, but we're going to do a Reconnecting Workspaces. We won't do dice. We'll do actually, how about we do this? Why don't we just do some prompting cards? I've got some at my fingertips. So Michelle, 1, 2, or 3? Give me your favorite number on a 1, 2, or 3.
3.
3. Okay. So our prompt for today is I love blank about my work. I love blank about my work. What a nice way to start the day. I'm going to give us just 35, 40 seconds right now just to fill in that prompt. Grab a pen, maybe your device. What do you love about your work? All right. Is that enough time for you, Michelle?
Oh, yes. I
Oh,
love this question.
I love this question too. So I love blank about my work. What is your response on this?
The people.
Ooh. And what do you love about the people you get to connect with every day?
The opportunity to do life with them, both to believe with them for their dreams and the investment in their dreams and to be with them in the hard times too. I appreciate the journey and the opportunity to walk with them. How about you?
So I put 2 things. I love the creativity and the focus in my work, right? Like I love the ability to really create a lot of things. And because I've created a lot of things and have a lot of lines of business, also get to focus with people on like really diverse, important issues, right? I can move 1 hour from talking about group coaching to here we are at Remote Pathways. Then I'm going to be going over to the team coaching realm. So I do love that. And I love the fact that my work with my clients is very creative. Never, every hour is a little bit different. So there's always a flip side to that. But what I do love this morning is the fact that every hour is different.
Yes, I love that. I love when I hop on a call with you. I never know where you have already been. It doesn't matter. I could hop on a call with you at like 4 a.m., I think, and you'll be like, I've already met with this person and this person. It's just so much fun. I can't wait to hear what you're going to say.
Well, it's really apropos for today's call. So today's call is about one of the topics that I think many of our listeners have been hearing about, maybe experiencing even themselves. And it's one of our next upcoming episodes. So for a change, we're looking ahead rather than looking backwards at our themes. And the theme, drum roll please, is burnout. So even to what I've just said, there's a flip side in our work. We may love a piece, and I love the creativity that my work affords. I love the fact that there really are 4 main lines of business here at Potentials Realized, ranging from group coaching to team coaching to remote and virtual leadership. And that is, and then entrepreneurship. But it means that I'm switching gears a lot, which can lead to burnout. It can really lead to that over leveraging if we're not careful. So today we are really diving into like our Q1 and I think our Q4 focus in some respects. And just a reminder here at the Pathways, of the remote world, we're always looking at sort of focus, experimentation in order to gain momentum and reflection. And the beautiful thing about experimentation is that we can try a lot of things. Some things work, some things don't. And, I think that does also feed into like our mindset around how do we hold our work and what expectations do we have of ourselves as well as others, which does feed into this topic of burnout. So, recent calls, we'll come back to like the recent calls, but I know, Michelle, before we dive into burnout, really I saw your love of our one of our first episodes of the year. Do you want to talk a little bit about the conversation we had with Winston?
Oh, yes. It was so great. It was using data storytelling to unlock, I want to say your potential, but it also your focus for the year. I just really, really appreciate the work that Winston is doing with entrepreneurs, with nonprofits, and beyond with those teams to just to have those important conversations. It reminds me of the conversations you and I have had before about metrics matter that you taught me, plan, do, track, but just that opportunity he brings for people to bring a specific set of data to a focused group and get feedback on it and plan around it. So if check out that episode, go to our guest page. I think his opportunity has been expanded to the end of February. So if it speaks to you, please click learn more. That's one of the things that we do here is bring you voices from the field. So
And
yeah.
again, head on over to remotepathways.com and there you'll see the guest page there. So yeah, we look forward to amazing guests this year. We've had Winston already. You'll hear Michelle and I on our most recent episode. We have great guests coming up. So with that, it's all about today, staying at your peak and mitigating against burnout. And so even looking at these different, people on the screen, take a look at how they're doing, right? Some are like very zen and practicing. If you look at the bottom middle point versus the person who is slouched over her laptop. So I'd like to invite you to think about, like if you were if an illustrator came into your office right now, what would they capture? How would they see you in your world of work?
These are such great pictures.
I love them. I really, really love them because I think we can all see ourselves in different ways. So, Michelle, not to put you on the spot, but I will. And I'm just curious, like what would an illustrator capture in your world?
Today or in what scenarios I should ask?
Yeah, well, let's go today, right? Because this is part of, perhaps mitigating against burnout, having a different routine. Or for
Yeah.
some, it's about having the same routine. So
Yeah.
what would you want them to capture?
I think, okay, top row, fourth one over. The lady with coffee sitting at her desk. That's kind of what I do. I just consider my day before me, the people that I'm going to meet with, I'm thinking about their dreams and different things that are going on in their lives. So yeah, and it's kind of where I'm at right now. So it works well. How about you? Which one would you pick?
Well, I think there's a couple of them. I'll go to the bottom left, right, or sorry, left, right, the bottom left, right, with that woman. I look at the calendar, right? I've been doing a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of stuff around productivity. We've got the 22 for 22 sprints happening again. Now that I'm looking more closely, I see that that's not like I thought that was like actually a video camera with Zoom behind her, right? Like I'm also
Oh
a lot
yeah.
of I'm doing a lot of talking. And so I think those are two elements where I love the work that I do. But I need to toggle it off, right? To mitigate against burnout when I'm speaking a lot. And I tend to speak a couple times a week. I do notice like I need a renewal time on the other end of that. So staying at my peak is staying connected, but it's also making sure that I have a good balance, which takes me to my second one, which is the second one in on the top row. It's a guy running out of the office, right? And so I've really appreciated, and as Michelle always knows, I will find the micro windows to get to the pool. I will find the micro windows
Yes.
to get out of the house, to get going. We are reemerging out of our latest shutdown. So it's been really important for me to get out as much as I can, while I can, because now we have a blizzard. And so it's like a lot harder to get out of the house other than to shovel your drive. So long story, but I always like that for my work. And again, staying at peak, it means that I'm always toggling on and off. I'm not the type of person who can do the same thing all the time.
Yes.
Okay. So,
Yes.
wow. So any other insights as you look around this map? I'm noticing just how we are all very different people. And I think that's a really key piece in this question of burnout that we explore in one of our upcoming episodes.
Oh yeah, that bottom right one, that's me in burnout mode.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like she's just asleep. She's gone so much that she's just like out, So I really have to monitor because I love what I do, starting with this question that we asked. And so even my passion or compassion, if I do not take care of self and do some self-care and get good sleep or, just invest in my own care, I will be asleep at the wheel, so to speak. I'm not present for anyone. So
And that's not good. That's not good
no.
at all. So today we wanted to talk a little bit about burnout. And I guess we define this on our upcoming episode. Burnout is something that is quite prevalent for a lot of professionals at all stages of their career right now. 2 years into the pandemic, a lot of leaders and team members have been sort of burning it at both ends, which is what I like to say. And having been through professional burnout myself early on in my career, I know that it can just sap you on all different levels, on sort of the emotional level, on the physical level, on the cognitive level. And we felt that it was really important to dedicate one of our upcoming episodes to this. And then in today's community call, to really get you thinking about what's going to help you stay at your peak. What can you be doing to mitigate or like minimize the effects of perhaps a lot of work, a lot of routine, maybe a lot of uncertainty and complexity, because all of this does fit in to creating an environment which is heavy for all of us. So for you, Michelle, anything that you want to say? You had a great piece that you had shared in our episode, but what would you say about what burnout is and how you hold burnout in your work?
Loss of motivation, I can really pick up on that. When that energy is gone, I think we said that word depleted. I think that is a really big word that captures kind of, oh, wait, I need to pay attention. Burnout might be happening, or it might be on the precipice, or it might have already happened, but just when that word depleted resonates, pay attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we know ourselves, and hopefully we know ourselves enough to know when we're like sort of getting to that empty tank, or are we on fumes? Are we beyond fumes? Is there anything left in the tank? And, we can sometimes feel like this, right? Like the wind up doll, like I just have nothing left and I'm really starting to sag. Um, there are lots of signs. I found this really interesting infograph. I want to thank Adobe Stock for it. So again, things like in terms of job burnout or career burnout, and burnout can happen in other ways, right? Like I don't think it just has to be job burnout. It may be burnout because of role conflict. For me, I'm a caretaker and a business owner. It's like I've always got to look at those elements. So am I or are we showing things like poor performance, lack of interest, especially lack of interest in things that we enjoy? Are we isolating ourselves? Are we finding it hard to concentrate? Are we also maybe having increased accidents and mistakes? That can be a really important flag. Are we getting really cynical about things and minimizing others? Are we irritable? Are we feeling stressed and anxious? Are we even getting into phases of depression? And as we share in the episode, with something like burnout, you don't need to do it alone. There are resources, all over the world. Sometimes they're difficult to access or in scarce supply, but just know that if you are feeling any of these at a volume, that's a signal to reach out to perhaps a mental health professional. to, your doctor, because there are resources that you can tap into to help you with this. Even forgetfulness can be a sign of burnout, right? When we have a lot of cognitive load, it taxes our brain. We just don't retain information in the same way. Could also be frequent illness or headaches or chronic fatigue, difficulty sleeping, loss of appetite, high blood pressure. So, even our Fitbits will tend to like indicate. And I know one of my readings that I can access every day, it measures what happens during my sleep cycle, not just only in the RAM and everything, but it actually measures the stress on my body. And having had this edition of like, I've had a Fitbit for years, but this edition I've had now for over a year, maybe a year and a half. And it's been really interesting because my body tends to give out a signal before I see something visible. So the app will track something, and then like a day or so later, I'll actually physically start to see something. So it's a great indicator.
Wow.
Yeah, really interesting. So I don't know. What do you think, Michelle? Any comments on like these symptoms or signs that might be a flag that, what, it's time to take a pause and, mitigate and renew.
Yeah. When you went with the car analogy, talking before, and I think we're on this remote pathway, that, it reminds me of the lights on our dashboard of our car when we're driving. They
Yeah.
give us little clues and little warnings like, hey, pay attention to this. They're in there for a reason. So these signs, we don't need to freak out about them. They're normal,
Mhm.
right? That burnout happens, or it can happen. We've been sustaining a lot of continual change for a long time. And so we just pay attention to these signs. We just don't ignore them. That's the encouragement that this is normal. It's okay. Reach out, ask for help.
Yeah, reach out and get the help, get the support that you need. Because, again, we all will have different strategies as well to mitigate against it. There's a lot of research which is showing, we want to go back into perhaps leaning into our strengths, creating routines that are going to renew, really looking after ourselves. And it may mean negotiating, right? Negotiating that some things are delegated or taken off our plate. Because with
Yes.
burnout,
Hmm.
here's the thing with burnout is it's not just something that happens and you're fine the next day, right? Like burnout can affect people for months, if not longer than months. And it can have really significant implications. As I share in the episode, most listeners will know about my eye, which happened, almost 20 years ago. But I think my eye issue, which may have been a lot smaller than it was exacerbated because my body had literally reached the level of not being able to fight back against, what they believe was a bacterial infection, right? Which is
Wow.
really interesting. So again, burnout is not just emotional exhaustion, it's also physical exhaustion where the body literally just gives out. So it's sort of like you hit the brick wall and there's nothing left. Like you can't get to a gas tank, right? You're in the middle of the
Yeah.
desert and there's nothing around. So really be thinking about, what are the signs, the signals. Now, what support networks do you have, or what support networks can you put in place?
Yeah. The word, sustainability. I really enjoy working with people around sustainability. And this is an important question. So I love that we're bringing this to the table. So where do we go from here, right? After the signs?
Yeah, after the signs, I think it's linking into support. It's linking into thinking about how do you want to, creating a vision for, a workflow and a work life and, hopefully a life that you are is going to allow you to do the ongoing renewal, right?
Mhm.
Whatever that ongoing renewal looks like, which is why I've come back to this slide to say, what can we be doing to really ensure that we're constantly renewing and putting back gas into the tank? It may not be huge amounts every day, but are you getting 15 minutes, 30 minutes to just renew as you go? So that would be what I'd say. How about you, Michelle? What would you add on as a
Well, I don't know if you have them in these slides, but I'm such a visual person. And I remember you had those visual cards. Do you have those
I have them.
on this slide by any chance?
I don't have them on a slide to, well,
Oh,
I do,
okay.
but I don't on this deck. I do
Oh,
have some
gotcha.
of them, but would you like me to pick another one or two?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna actually lean over and just grab, they're just below here. I'm gonna grab a few more and we'll work with a few more. All right. Okay, so I've grabbed 6. This is actually a deck of 50, but I'm obviously so 1 through 6. What would you like? Give me another number.
You know what? I'm going to stay in the 3 lane today. So let's see what pops up this time.
Okay, so that is wild success looks like. So
Yay.
wild success. What would wild success look like? And this is taking us to vision, right? Part of mitigating against burnout is also having a juicy vision that we're excited about. So if you, yeah, I'll just go with the question. Wild success looks like.
Yeah, I love the word or the descriptor wild. It's not just success, but what would be wild for you? And there's a lot of energy around that word for me, just because it's just going to be different. It's going to be an adventure, something in that sparks a lot of joy in my heart.
Fantastic. So let's take 30 seconds for everyone to just pause, maybe write this down. What will wild success look like for you? So that's about 30 seconds. Michelle, anything that you want to share?
Yeah. Being brave and vulnerable to pay attention to the signs of burnout through the lens of compassion and reach out for support.
Whew, that's
That
amazing.
would be wild, right? Wildness is also brave.
Oh, that's amazing. That's a
How
really,
about you?
really amazing. So I actually went to something very specific. So wild success in my work to mitigate against this is having a team of excited professionals who are ready to do great work. Really, having a team, having a support network, um, so that any of these, I can do in greater amounts.
Beautiful. Yes, the power of community, right?
The power of community. And as I grow this team, a team is becoming a reality. And it's an exciting part to
I
see.
was thinking about that last night, actually, right before I went to sleep. I was like, we need to do a podcast episode around your new team. It's such exciting news, like, and a global team, because it's so where everybody is right now. And I think that's why you're so gifted at speaking to people in the world right where they are, because you're there, you know it, you live it, and you bring the tools, resources, and support that people need. So
Well, thank you. And yeah, I'd love to have the team on as we continue to grow here at Potentials Realized. So, part of this is vision. I wanted to leave one more minute. I think we have time for a 30-second lean into the screen. Is there an image that you want to embrace as you move forward out of our call today? Just take 30 seconds to find one and to maybe jot it down so you can remember it after the call. And you know me, Michelle, I'll always ask, which one did you choose? I'll go first on this one.
yes,
I chose
do.
one, I chose one in the midpoint, which looks like it's sort of like a sunshine. I'm going to take that as a sunrise. And then there's like a tail, a jet stream there. I've actually changed the way the jet stream is going so that it goes to the right. And yeah, that just means like the sun is rising and, go with the flow, go with the upwards flow and upwards trajectory. So what did you choose?
I like the sea turtle in the water because turtles remind me of the pace that I like, but the flow of the water, is not on land. So that's significant. And then I also like that lamp over to the left. It reminds me to be a light in a dark world.
Ooh, so fantastic. Well, thank you for playing with that. And here's a quote from Christopher Germer. A moment of self-compassion can change your entire day. A string of such moments can change the course of your life. So we hope that you've enjoyed. Conversation Sparker this week is, what do you want to do to renew? And I just hope that people have enjoyed our discussion. Again, upcoming episode will be on burnout. We'll touch on more of this, but if you need support, do not hesitate to reach out to mental health professionals and others in your network. Michelle, as we go to close today, anything else you want to mention?
I'm grateful for our community and these community calls. What a great support. And we hope that it supports you that have joined us virtually and watching the recording today.
So be well, everyone, and let's continue to go remote together.
Take care.
Take care, everyone. Thanks for joining us.